Godzilla x Kong, New Empire. Released March 29, 2024. Directed by Adam Wingard. Written by Terry Rossio, Simon Barrett, and Jeremy Slater. Starring Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, Dan Stevens, and Kaylee Hoddle. Rotten Tomatoes score, 53%. Metacritic, 47. IMDb, 6.7. Welcome back to Real Reviews like always. I am your host, Lee. We are back to talk about Godzilla x Kong. I walked in and expected what can be called a popcorn movie, or a movie where nothing of any significance happens other than fights. And oddly, I left unsatisfied with even that expectations, but let's get into it. So this movie has some intense issues with the pacing. We start out with 3 stories. The human story, it feels a bit slow for the first half of the movie. Kong's story, it feels about evenly paced, and finally Godzilla's story, which is going at breakneck speeds to power scale as high as possible just for the final fight. Another important issue to point out is that Godzilla is the first word in the title, but Godzilla isn't really in the movie until the very end. The story actually isn't that bad. Ancient evil titan-level ape is building power to be able to take over the world. Ancient civilization sends out the call for help. But Godzilla's story is summed up like this. Starts off beating a titan. Okay, that is normal. Here's the signal. Goes and charges up by draining a nuclear reactor. Goes and kills another titan. Steals their lair to absorb more power. Final boss fight. I am hoping that there is 30+ minutes of Godzilla footage on the cutting room floor, because if there isn't, there really wasn't a reason to have him in this movie except getting butts in seats. Kong gets the bulk of the story, and that is also mirrored in Kaylee Hoddle's character Ja. Both the last of their kind. Both trying to find out where they belong, and both finding it in Hollow Earth. The human story is really just explaining to the audience what is happening, and then exposition for the monsters. This movie honestly could have been Kong's storyline and nothing else, and it would be roughly the same, and they could have expanded it a bit and possibly made it more interesting. The acting is a mixed bag. Rebecca Hall and Kaylee Hoddle come in pretty normal, nothing super over the top. Brian Tyree Henry and Dan Stevens, while entertaining, are both varying levels of ridiculous. Most of the side characters are completely irrelevant. One is a walking trope, but he dies so quick that talking about him is pretty pointless. The animation really is the key part of this movie to talk about. Most of the Titans look fine if they are on the screen long enough to have a good model done. The apes, with the exception of the tiny orange one, are done pretty well. Godzilla looks great in normal Godzilla poses, but there are a few shots that look goofy because they just aren't things we are used to seeing from Godzilla. Mothra looks pretty cool for the maybe 10 to 20 minutes that she is in the movie. Maybe one of the most disappointing things about this movie is that there aren't many long fights. Some are maybe 2 minutes long, and even the longer ones are only long because they have moments with the people cut into them. I really wanted more fighting because they are cool, but also they are probably the most expensive part. Overall, I would probably give this movie a 6 or a 6.5 out of 10. It is a pretty enjoyable movie. It is inoffensive, and a decent watch that you could talk to your friends while watching and no one would miss anything important. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe. I typically have at least 2 episodes out per week. Next week, I am hoping to have a review of Dragon's Dogma 2 and Monkey Man. Until next time.